For centuries, one name has been whispered in the halls of power and, let's be honest, in the darkest corners of the internet, the Freemasons. Now, you've probably heard of them. They're one of the world's oldest and biggest fraternal organizations, but they're also one of its most mysterious. So today, we're going to try and peel back some of those layers and see what's really going on.
And really, it all boils down to one big question that's followed them forever. Are they just a charitable brotherhood, a sort of men's club focused on self-improvement and helping out the community? Or are they something else? A secret society pulling the strings of global politics, a hidden cabal with a secret plan.
And this, right here, just sums it all up, doesn't it? On one side, you have the secret handshake. Is that just a simple sign of trust between brothers? Or, on the other hand, is it a signal of loyalty inside this massive pyramid of power? A conspiracy that controls everything? The truth, as we're about to see, is probably a lot more complicated than either extreme.
Okay, so to even begin to get a handle on this, we've got to start with their side of the story the Freemasons tell about themselves. And that story is all about brotherhood, morality, and the ideals of the Enlightenment. So, their history actually starts out super practically, back in the Middle Ages with guilds of stonemasons. These were operative masons, like actual builders who used secret signs to protect the secrets of their trade. But then, in 1717, everything changes. The first Grand Lodge is formed in London, and it marks this big shift to what they call speculative masonry. It's not about building with stone anymore, it's a philosophical society, using those old tools and traditions as metaphors for building a better person. And this new idea, it just took off during the Enlightenment.
So if you ask a Freemason, here's what they'll tell you it's all about: a moral code, charity, and education. The whole goal is to create a space where guys from totally different backgrounds can come together as equals. And crucially, they leave politics and specific religious debates at the door. The whole point, they say, is to find what unites people, not what divides them.
Okay, but here's where things get interesting, and where all the mystery comes from. The Masons teach all these principles not by just, telling you, but through this really rich language of symbols, a lot of which are hidden in plain sight all around us.
Which leads to the question that gets everybody, right? If your intentions are so good, if you're all about being a charitable fraternity, then why all the secrets? Why the secret handshakes, the codes, the private rituals? This is exactly where that little seed of suspicion starts to grow. A lot of their symbols, believe it or not, go right back to their roots as actual stoneworkers. Take this Masonic apron. It's not just for show. It's a direct link to the real leather aprons that medieval Masons wore for protection. For a modern Freemason, it's a symbol of the value of hard work and the tools you need to build a good life.
And then you have the big one, the symbol everyone knows, the square and compass. The square is supposed to represent morality, and the compass is about keeping your passions in check. That G in the middle? It usually stands for God, or as they call him, the Grand Architect of the Universe. It's a deliberately broad term, which is actually pretty clever. It lets men from different religions all meet under this shared belief in a higher power.
And all this secrecy wasn't just for show, at least not at first. It had a really practical purpose. Ciphers like this one, plus the secret handshakes and passwords, were all designed to do one thing: prove you were a real trained Mason. In a time before you had resumes or certifications, this was how you got a job. But here's the thing. A system that was built to protect jobs, well, over the centuries, it's become the perfect fuel for conspiracy theory.
And that brings us to the other side of the story, the side that sees every one of these symbols not as a moral lesson, but as a clue to a massive global conspiracy. So let's step into that world of shadows for a minute.
Take a look at this. This is the conspiracy theory in its purest form. In this view, the Masons aren't just a club. They are the very top of a pyramid that controls everything. We're talking the CIA, Interpol, the media, you name it. It's this vision of a secret web woven into every single part of our society.
And boy, are there a lot of theories. You've got the classic one, right? That the Illuminati secretly took over the Freemasons to create a new world order. Then there are claims that they're an anti-Christian or even a satanic cult. Some theories, often rooted in anti-Semitism, say they're a front for Jewish world domination. And of course, there's the idea that they control all the world's systems and have hidden their symbols everywhere, like the eye on the US dollar bill.
And what's wild? Sometimes the Freemasons themselves seem to give the conspiracy theorists ammunition. This quote is from a really well-respected Masonic scholar, Manly P. Hall. But listen to it. He talks about living powers behind the thrones of world affairs. I mean, come on, that sounds straight out of a movie script. It totally blurs the line between philosophy and a secret plot.
So, where does the truth lie? As you've probably guessed, it's a whole lot messier than either the perfect, squeaky clean brotherhood or the all-powerful evil cabal. When you look at their history, you see a pretty big gap between their principles and their actual practices.
I mean, you absolutely cannot deny how influential they've been. So many of America's founding fathers, George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, you name them, were proud Masons. For them, the lodge was a place where these radical new ideas about liberty and reason could be discussed openly, and those conversations helped shape the very foundation of America.
But, and this is a big but, here's a crystal clear example of their ideals just not holding up in the real world. They have this principle of equality and a rule that any new member has to be approved by a unanimous vote. While that rule was used for centuries to exclude black men, all it took was one prejudiced member to say no, and that was that. It's the entire reason that separate, segregated black lodges, known as Prince Hall lodges, had to be created in the first place.
Okay, so we've got the good guy charity club on one side and the shadowy world domination plot on the other. How do we make sense of it all? Let's try to get to the bottom of why this mystery just won't go away.
Well, here's what a more modern academic look suggests, and it kind of brings things back down to earth. This quote says that while some Masons might enjoy thinking they're in a secret society, the truth is that it's mostly just a banal men's club. Ouch. Not quite as exciting as a global conspiracy, is it?
And really, this is the key to the whole thing. The very secrecy that started out as a totally practical way for craftsmen to protect their jobs, that's become the very thing that makes everyone suspicious. In a world that expects transparency, these traditions of privacy and secret rituals just naturally make people wonder what they're hiding. It ensures the conspiracies never really die.
And yet, even with all the controversy, and yeah, their numbers have gone down from their peak, they're still a huge organization. There are over 5 million Freemasons around the world today, still practicing their traditions, raising a ton of money for charity, and bringing guys together.
Which really leaves us with one last thing to think about. In our world, a world that's all about being connected and open, is there still a place for a secret society? What's the real cost of holding on to secrets, even if they're just part of an old tradition? It's a question that keeps the mystery of the Freemasons very much alive.